Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. I am the Nighthawk, and on my left in the empty seat is Casper the Ghost, or should be Super Dave Handy. He might have had a nap and woke up late. And on my far right, my good pal, Mr. Duke Forrest. And as we get started here, Duke, and is that David coming in right now?
No, that's good.
So the word came out today that BFA is in fact playing hockey tonight.
I was monitoring news right before I came, but they just canceled the D1 girls game, I guess just a short while ago.
Oh.
So no Essex. They were playing, they were going to play Burlington, Colchester.
I talked to one of the parents of one of the BFA players tonight at quarter six, and he said it's a goal.
Yeah, but as of about 6:15
So
even.
they're playing at 8
it's a go.
o'clock. Is it at Letty?
At Letty.
At Letty.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I printed off the wrong sheet. It's being broadcast, and maybe Richie can hear me in there, but it said you need subscribers, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, tonight's game is, it's on the NFHS network. They have the state contract for all of the state finals, recording and live broadcasting. So we've got a crew there just to record the game, but you gotta pay $11 to watch this one on live.
So are you saying type in NFHS?
Yes,
Oh.
NFHS is the National Federation for High School Sports or something.
Okay, how much better does it get? Arch rivals, Essex and BFA. I feel bad for these kids,
It's awful.
No,
God
really.
love them, they're in a state championship.
I can't believe they wouldn't at least let the parents go to the game. I mean,
Is that right? No, so no parents?
no parents.
David, I just assumed parents were to be allowed.
And you think about it, you got an arena that holds 1,500 people. You can certainly put in
Wow.
100.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, you can have them
Interesting.
sit apart, and I mean, most of the parents, I mean, they do live together most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Dave, that's a good point. I was telling a client today, when you look back at your high school years, whether you're playing sports or any other curricular activity, 20, 40 years down the road, you're not lying in bed at night and thinking about how you got a B plus on an algebra exam. I mean, those are not your first memories.
Well, the BFA kids thought they'd already won the state championship last week
Oh, is that right?
because they were told that the game last week was for the state championship.
Really? Why were they told
Because
that?
Essex, there was some COVID action or something.
In fact, didn't Essex get hooked up with MVU? Wasn't
Right,
that
or something. And so anyway, now they're playing for the second state championship in the same year.
interesting? And BFA and Essex have either one or those are the two teams that have won
they
the
go
last.
back and forth.
They've won the last six.
Yeah.
One of those two teams has
Now,
won the
is
last
Essex
six.
the number one ranked team?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were 9-0 and BFA was 8-1.
And I assume they lost Essex?
Yeah, 2-0.
But in those 6 years, they've just played in the championship against each other one time with BFA winning
Yes.
2-0 5 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
David, I would not mind watching this game. It sounds like it could be like a 3-2 hockey game tonight.
Sounds like a good hockey game.
Yeah, boy.
Well,
Wow. It's,
Sorry,
now-
I'm late. I have my grandson is up to the house, Emmy's daughter.
all
Okay.
right.
So I had to do my grandfatherly duty.
Yeah. Is there a reason they're not playing at Gutterson?
I
Or
can
does it-
only imagine
Probably.
why.
Maybe the construction, just logistically, Letty's
David,
probably
I think you
easier.
answered my question. Why? Like, if, you're not
There's
gonna,
no fans.
if there's not going to have any fans,
Yeah, why bother
Yeah.
with gutters?
yeah. And Duke, I didn't have time to read my online free press today, but I did just pull this off. Suspended Vermont Amtrak passenger service poised for a return.
Yeah, I caught that. I caught some news today about that.
Amtrak passenger rail service could be back on track in Vermont within the next few months. Service on the 2 trains that serve Vermont, the Vermonter, which runs from D.C. up to the eastern side of Vermont before crossing the state that ends in St. Albans, and the Ethan Allen Express that travels between Rutland and New York City were suspended last year because of the corona.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the Ethan Allen?
Nope, never been on the Ethan Allen,
Yeah.
but I can think about maybe a trip to, my usual trip to D.C., hopefully in November again or something.
Yeah, so,
Guess who played 18 holes of golf today?
oh, boy.
It wasn't Tiger Woods.
It couldn't be the owner / proprietor of Handy Buick GMC.
Did you really, so where, Plattsburgh?
Adirondack in Plattsburgh
Really? Did they just open?
yesterday.
Really?
And only 1-9, the other 9's too wet.
Huh.
But we played the same 9 twice.
And who'd you go with?
Mike Coleman.
Just you and Mike?
Yeah.
So how was the course?
The course is okay. I
Okay.
mean, we only go over there and when the season's off anyways.
Yeah.
But it's sandy over there, so it dries out pretty good. But their grass isn't that great, even in the middle of summer.
Interesting.
But-
Would they charge you?
For 18 holes, 2 guys and a cart, $70.
Huh, interesting.
You know
Good.
what? I'd gladly pay it.
Yes.
And it was 60 degrees out, and it was beautiful. And I was playing golf in March.
You're going back.
And I didn't have to go to Florida.
So we're supposed,
Look at the copy of your top magazine that I gave
I know.
you. Isn't that a great cover?
It is.
The
supposed to be
Florida
low
governor.
70s tomorrow, last day of spring.
And then we go back to normal.
Yeah. I looked at the 10-day forecast, and I'm trying to be realistic when a good time for Champlain to open up. So I'm thinking like Monday, April 5th, temps will be in the mid-50s, and there's no rain.
We need a good rain. We're supposed to get it tomorrow.
Well, I hope so.
Or Friday. We're supposed to, I got a thing on my phone that we've got a flood watch. We
Yeah, it
might be
sounds-
getting between 3/4 of an inch and an inch and a half.
I
Sounds
think
like
it's
Friday into
Friday,
Saturday. is a
yeah.
I've got
decent
my
shot for
grandson
rain.
coming over, helping me pick up sticks off my lawn tomorrow tomorrow at 6, so.
But Friday, yesterday was really the red letter day. Yesterday was just fantastic.
Unreal. Yeah, I went out to Kilcare as I usually do at sunset. Boy, a good 5 to maybe 10 degrees colder out there when you're right on the lake. You know, with the
that
wind
water,
coming off the water's still like mid-30s.
Yeah,
Huck,
yeah.
that's where I caught sunset Sunday night. A certain bench down by the lake that you know pretty well. I wandered over to the beach and caught sunset sitting on the bench. The golf clubs are still there, no problem.
Okay.
The driver's in tough shape, but the iron looked like it was fine.
So there is a lot of beach. I
No,
presume.
the lake, I'm telling you, I mention it every week.
Super
I'm
low,
so
yeah.
scared about the lake.
Yeah.
I think, though, if we get in a rainier pattern, who knows?
And I'm concerned also because while there's like thin ice, usually at this time there's pretty thick ice. So when that melts, the lake will come up probably a good few feet. I think melt all the ice in the lake, and I think that only kicks it up maybe
And
like
it's
a
not
foot
like
or
there's a lot of
something.
snow on the ground either.
Yeah, right. Higher elevation snow, there's not much. I'm continue to be very concerned about the lake level.
I think we might be a little worried about the sugaring season too, because the trees are already starting to bud.
I mean, this week is probably, wicked hot, wicked warm weather.
If
is the
you've got a
last
nice
thing
cold sugar
makers
bush, you're
want.
probably okay.
Yeah,
But
well put.
I was noticing my trees, and I got a couple trees that are starting to bud.
We got a call.
All right,
Okay.
climb out of your tree because we have our first call tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Yeah, well, don't look for Champlain to open on April 5th.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, that's just not going to happen. I mean, it's you're not looking. You still got frost. I looked at the 30-day forecast, and you still had frost at night. Potentially the first 10 days of April. 18th of April, supposed to hit 60 and then stay 60 after that. So. Look, this is like the NFL mock draft. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I wouldn't see them at the earliest. I would say the 21st, and maybe even a few days later than that.
Well,
But
okay.
why
And I know
why later than
our
usual?
superintendent, he's someone who's not eager to, do any injustice to his soil, and I give him credit for that. So,
I think he wants to wait at least until he cuts the grass once on the greens.
But doesn't the course usually open in mid-April?
oh no! Well, last year because of COVID, we got going toward the end of April, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was closer to
Oh, yeah.
mid-May.
May, yeah.
We were the 48th state in the country to open our golf courses, and even Alaska.
Oh, really? Was that late? It was that
Alaska was open.
Yeah, last
before
year
we
was
were.
late. But
late? Yeah, it'll probably be last 10 days of April. I think that would be the window.
I bet you're a little late, Leonard. I bet you we got, because there's no frost in the ground. The frost is gone. There wasn't any all winter. And
No, okay, well, no, I hope you're right.
and if we get a good rain, that'll help.
Yeah.
My guess is about the 15th of April.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe just a week later. So we're in the ballpark. I had a couple of. My son LJ gave me a couple pretty good trivia questions here. I've had them written down for quite a while, but you guys haven't been around a while. You've been usurped, I see, by some live telecast.
Say what? I'm confused, Len, by what you're saying.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, oh
I
yeah.
can hear you. I'm just confused by what you're telling us.
I said you guys haven't been on the last 2 weeks, have you?
Oh,
Well,
sure.
That would be news to me.
Yeah, we've been
I
on.
looked for you. I looked for you both nights, and all I saw was live high school athletics.
We did have a problem last week with the
Calls.
voice box coming back with calls.
We've been here. We've physically been here for many
Really?
weeks.
Anyway, you weren't on Facebook.
Okay.
That's where I usually go to find you.
Is
I typed
Alan
in
monitor-
Northwest Access TV on Facebook,
Last week for high school sports.
and they had two different games on live at the same
Yeah.
time. So I thought they were using both channels
Yeah.
for that.
Leonard,
But yeah, I don't know.
Our engineer, Richie Cunningham, just said on Facebook, we were in fact bumped, which is a tragedy for high school sports. How could they just get rid of the number one live talk sports show in Franklin
Right.
County?
I mean, I wish when I was doing play-by-play of these games that if I'd had no, fans in the stands, my ratings would have been a hell of a lot better. They're having
absolutely.
great ratings. You can bet your bottom dollar on that.
But you know what, Leonard? When I was asking our engineer about it being broadcast, don't you think the Vermont headmasters, in their infinite wisdom, would be nice and let any local cable access do the games? I mean, it's not like we have a choice of going. They really should have let us in. Like he said, they're down there to record the game to show at a future date.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But,
But there's the high school hockey game will be live tonight.
at $11 to watch it. Yeah.
Wow, I've
No,
been watching these games. How about the semifinal? Was that something you had to pay for?
Just the finals you gotta pay for.
just the finals.
Thanks, Alan.
Richie here says it's $11 to watch NFHS. And I don't know what it stands for, but if you check your free press, it'll tell you.
I see.
So,
Well,
but
no, I hear you.
again, under these circumstances, forget the money. It's not like they're going to make a ton of money off from this.
Right.
Let the public watch it.
All right, here's my first trivia question. Fernando Tatis Sr. in 1999.
He hit 2 Grand Slam home runs in the same inning for the St. Louis
Well-
Cardinals.
You're almost right.
Wrong team?
No, you just didn't finish your thought.
He had 2 Grand Slams in the same inning,
And no one's ever done that
There's more
before,
to it.
obviously.
and no one's ever done that before.
No? You're missing one part of the puzzle.
What's the question?
People have hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. I'm not saying it's commonplace, but that's not that rare.
Okay.
They have other players.
What would make it really rare?
Off the same pitcher?
There you go.
Are you kidding me? There's more than one player that's done that? That blows my mind.
Pitcher, Chan-Ho Park.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a record probably that'll never be broken.
No.
Leonard, I would like for you to do research because I don't recall anybody else getting 2 grand slams in the same inning.
That's astonishing to me.
Oh, down to the course of history in baseball? I'm not Elias Sports Bureau, but I'm not saying it's commonplace, but I would be surprised if it hasn't happened.
Well, I'm very surprised it's happened. Yeah. Commonplace? I mean, give me 2 grand slams in an inning.
Well, I didn't say it was commonplace.
No, but just you using the word saying, I'm not saying it's commonplace to me. I'm stunned that there's more than one player myself.
So, Len, I got most of your first question. I hope the second one is harder.
Good job, Hawk. Good job.
Okay, let's see. I got to remember this because I had it written down for about 3 weeks. But in 1979, the Pittsburgh Pirates won Game 7 on the road and beat Baltimore to win the World Series. And it wasn't that a team in any major sport, 7th game, final, a road team. No other road team has ever done it until quite a bit of time had elapsed. And since that time, it's happened quite often. But between 1979 and the year 2009, no other team, any sport, has won a Game 7 on the road to win the championship.
That's also unbelievable to me.
Now, I do know the Washington Nationals won the World Series Game 7 in Houston, 2019.
Oh, yeah, but no, sorry. But 2009, I said. It went from 79 to 2009.
Okay.
Hey, the Red Sox beat the Yankees.
But it wasn't for the championship.
Oh, it wasn't.
It was
okay.
Pittsburgh Penguins
ALCS.
beating the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup, Game 7 in Detroit.
Okay.
Boy, that's
So you
unbelievable.
you went basically 30 years
Unbelievable.
before that, and it just happened quite a few times since 2009.
Yeah. Now, Leonard, in 1979, the Pittsburgh Pirates, what was their theme song?
We are family.
Right, correct. Who sang the song?
You mean the original artist?
Yes.
Oh, Lord. You're the music man. You know all those questions.
David,
I don't.
The Pointer Sisters.
The Pointer Sisters.
But who popularized it?
They did.
The Pointer Sisters?
The Pointer
wait,
Sisters.
I'm thinking of someone else.
No, it
I
was
may
the
have
Pointer
an
Sisters.
argument with
Absolutely
David.
thinking of
I'm
someone.
thinking of Sister Sledge.
No, it was the Pointer Sisters.
Well, I was thinking of somebody
Can you pull
else,
your
but
tweet machine out?
I will. I am.
Is
Okay.
that
Are you
the
able to
Pointer
hear me?
Sisters?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to look that up.
David's looking it up.
David's right on top of
Let me
this.
see if we can put it.
Sister Sledge reminds me of Sister Soldier in Bill Clinton's days.
We're talking Sister Sledge.
Ruth, Anita, and Bonnie,
The Pointer Sisters.
the Pointer Sisters.
No.
And, all right.
Why would I say Sister Sledge?
Well, she did it. I mean, it was covered by other people. Sister Sledge, we are family.
See, I think Sister Sledge had the hit. I'm not betting my life on this, but that's my recollection from 1979.
Yeah, we're coming up with. It was released. Well, this is kind of interesting. The album "We Are Family" was released in 2006.
So you think it's Sister
Like
Sledge?
Sister Sledge.
I do.
I thought it was somebody else, but of course I can't think of who I'm thinking of.
Wasn't
And,
Sister Teresa?
Let me, this other thing here, did you hear about the Kirk Buffalo in the NHL last night?
Yeah,
We are
I-
family, Sister Sledge.
I was right.
Yes,
Last-
Leonard. I caught some of that this morning. Yeah, they just threw out an NHL ref. Hawk, are you on top of that?
I am.
What?
I just want to give myself some kudos. David confirmed that it was, in fact, Sister Sledge.
Sister Sledge, huh?
That's what I
Good
came
job,
up
Hawk. Very impressive performance so far, Hawk.
I bring my A game to the sports show.
Well, of course, I couldn't tell you the difference between Sister Sledge and Sister Teresa. Or Mother Teresa.
So the referee, I did see that. I want to call an effing penalty on the Predators.
Yeah.
And I guess he already had announced he was going to retire after the season. But Mr. Bettman kind of expedite his.
But again, I heard some of this, and I'm not sure, I didn't hear it that well. This was some minutes after that he just said, after the fact, I should have called a penalty on them or something?
No,
Or
I think he said, I want to call a penalty on the Predators. A microphone picked him up talking
Right.
to another ref.
Yeah. Meaning there was like meaning at that moment he was thinking about it, or I'm still a little.
Yeah, Leonard kind of engage us with this because I didn't spend that
Well,
much.
I kudos to Richard because Fernando Tatis Sr. is the only player to ever hit 2 grand slams in one inning.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I'm being told it's, it's a big deal, but it's not that big a deal. I mean, give me a friggin' break. Thank you, Leonard. Makes
Well,
me feel a little better.
I mean,
2
guys
grand
come up
slams in an
late
inning? Are you
innings,
kidding me?
bases loaded. That's not like, we're reinventing the, Swiss cheese.
I'd say it's
There's been
close.
opportunities, I guess.
That makes me feel better. Thank you.
I'll ask,
Tim
I'll
Peel is
understand,
the referee's
it's not- It's not commonplace, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It only happened once.
Yep. So
Leonard, talk to us about the NHL. What was the story with this ref or former ref?
Well, basically, I was listening to CJAD, and I don't know his name, but he's considered to be the worst NFL referee, very worst in the league. Yeah, he was caught on an open mic early in the game, saying something to the effect, and he used the F word to boot. He says, I'm going to put a penalty on this guy early, even if he deserves it or not. Something to that effect.
Okay. Yeah, not a good thing. Yeah, not a good thing to.
With 15:04 left in the game, Predators forward Victor Arvidsson was called for a tripping Red Wings defenseman John Merrill in the offensive zone, even though the replays show that Merrill embellished his fall to help draw the penalty. Peel made the penalty call from around center ice. With 12:42 remaining in the second period, the Nashville broadcast captured the audio from Peel saying, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a blank penalty on Nashville early."
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
like, that's a surprise. Come on, that whole NBA, and you don't think these guys have makeup calls? Come on.
Absolutely, but you can't.
You can't say it.
You just can't say it out loud.
No.
I mean, yeah. There is getting back to the freshman. It's been done in college baseball. College baseball freshman Caleb Pendleton hit 2 grand slams during a 12-run second inning. So it's been done once in college. Yeah.
Yep.
FAU, Florida Atlantic University. It's 2 grand slams in the first inning, his collegiate debut. And I'm not really coming up with a date. Anyway.
So
But a fact is, done against 2 pitchers, obviously is rare. Very rare. Against the same pitcher, you think he'd be yanked by that.
yeah. Well, that was back in the day when starters were able to get out of their own jams. And of course, relief pitching now, it's crazy. So,
Yeah, it is. Who do you like the Giants free agent acquisition?
I am absolutely stunned by the Giants.
God, they spent some buckos, huh?
I think if the Patriots will get themselves a halfway decent quarterback, that the Giants and Patriots could have a diarrhea season where I could see some runs for the playoffs.
Talking about a Super Bowl, there's another Super Bowl where you give me
That's
third
it.
time's the charm for my
I don't know if
Patriots.
I've ever heard that particular
Well,
phraseology.
Len, I'm a wordsmith, okay? You caught my drift on this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the old. Well, I knew a guy in college. He's an old X-Lax player. You know, I mean, so.
So,
But anyway, baseball. We're just a week away basically from opening day. So.
yep.
And should be interesting. That'll be fun to get back on. College basketball. I thought Illinois was going to go deep, and I got surprised. So it looks like Gonzaga definitely is going to be the team to beat.
Well, I hope
Gonzaga,
so.
prohibitive favorite, but I'm having a good time with March Madness. You know, some of the upsets have been great. Some of the lower seeded teams have been fun.
There's not a more fun team to watch than Syracuse.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim had a bad run with postseason there for a while, but he's turned that around. Of course, I love this comment after his.
Do you think his son is tall enough to play in the NBA?
I think his son's getting some NBA, a little bit of NBA attention now with Syracuse doing so well. Of course, after Syracuse won their last game in an upset,
Would be his height.
Boeheim says after Buddy, you know, the Syracuse won by 3 points. Hey, Buddy, you missed the last free throw. That would have made it easier. But, yeah, Syracuse is a good story.
So.
Yeah, and Buddy can just shoot the lights out. I mean, it doesn't have any nerves. It doesn't appear to, and taking the points and betting Syracuse isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, three big stories: the upsets, the Pac. I mean, the Big Ten. Unbelievable! What a pathetic effort by the Big Ten, although Michigan's left, and an incredibly great effort by the Pac-12. Pac-12 or Pac-10? Pac-12, whatever.
Pac-10, I think.
Pac-10. Pac-10's been great. But Gonzaga are the big biggies for sure.
Thank you, Leonard.
Okay, have a good evening, gentlemen.
Okay.
You
See you,
too.
Len.
See you on the link.
Okay. So, David, I want to start here. The future employment of one Mr. Deshaun Watson.
Forget it. This guy is history.
The 14th lawsuit filed against Watson for sexual misconduct calls the Texas quarterback a serial predator.
For the record, though, everything's civil. We're not talking any criminal charges yet, anyway. Correct?
No.
All this, for the record, is civil. But I think this guy's 14 different women.
Basically, what he's done is gone to massage parlors and want a happy ending.
But I also read that he kind of rubbed himself against some of these girls.
Yeah, I think he's been a little too aggressive.
But this I had heard nothing. Were there any rumblings about this guy
No.
going back like a month before?
The rumblings have all been what a good corporate citizen he is.
God,
Of course,
that's unreal.
he's really put himself in a bad spot after signing a 4-year extension with Texans, and then a month later he decides he wants out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
But
he's
David-
going to be out. He's going to be out of a job.
Can they get out of that money? There must be something. They can
morals
obviously
clause
get out of that
in
money,
today's
right?
world. Me too, absolutely.
No, this guy's. Isn't it inconceivable? He's back in the NFL. 14. We're talking 14 different women.
Boy,
I think this guy's who would. I can't believe.
I think he's
playing
done.
Football again.
It's got to be done.
Yeah.
You can't keep a guy like that.
Right. Who's going to talk about a toxic guy?
It would have been nice. I know this is a kind of a taboo topic that the first girl would have reported him like pronto. So these 13 other girls never would have had to experience.
Well, I suppose maybe with these guys getting massages, they all think that the happy ending comes with it. I don't know.
Didn't
what it
Robert
is.
Kraft, is that what happened to him?
Well, Robert Kraft went to one of those
Lovely place
Asian,
in,
one of those Asian
Jupiter,
spas,
Florida.
Yeah, down in Florida, and that's where he got picked up.
Yeah.
And but.
I think that chart didn't that get thrown out?
It finally did, yeah.
Doesn't hurt when you got millions of dollars and can get the best lawyers you want.
Well, I just read today that in New York City they're throwing out hundreds of cases of prostitution. They aren't going to prosecute that anymore.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing.
So it's but Deshaun Watson,
Unreal.
that's just.
But I can't believe this just all came to light in the last, few weeks or something, right?
David, doesn't he have a girlfriend or a wife?
I'm sure he does.
Has Dabo Sweeney commented on this? His old
No,
coach of Clemson?
no.
Actually, Duke, I did see a headline, but I didn't click on it.
But that with Dabo reacting?
Yeah.
I'm sure Dabo's going to say, boy, when he was at Clemson, he kept his
He didn't
nose
have
real
to worry.
clean
He
at
was getting
Clemson.
a happy endings. Who knows? It's crazy.
Yeah.
A professional in his position, a quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, I agree totally. I think he's done.
It's-
I'll be stunned if he comes back.
He doesn't need it. He can. I'm sure after every game and every practice, there's women around.
Right.
He can fool around all he wants.
Yeah, the newest lawsuit against Watson filed Monday night in Harris County alleges Watson assaulted and harassed plaintiff by exposing himself to her and touching her with his penis.
Yeah,
Unreal.
that's just
Harris
dirty.
County being Houston, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Unbelievable.
Bad. It's bad.
So, I do want to touch on the Giants. Last week, the Patriots kind of had the spotlight because they went out fast and furious. I did read something today that they said the Giants had the best free agency, and I believe it.
Really? Well,
yeah,
But
I mean-
I thought they didn't have much money.
Well, you know what I read today? I read what they did is they've changed the way a lot of these contracts, like with Bradbury.
Yeah.
They just did Bradbury, and who's the other big free agent they signed last year? Martinez.
No, Blake Martinez.
What they did is they changed the way that they're paying them, and they've reduced what they can do. It only works for 1 year or 2 years, but if you reduce the salary and call it all signing bonus, then it only affects the cap for this year. It reduced their cap from, let's take like Martinez had a $10 million salary. Well, by calling $8.5 million of it signing bonus and having the salary only be $1.5 million, it reduced their cap by $8.5 million. Right. Now, what'll happen is a year down the road and next year, Martinez won't be. They'll have him for like a $14 million.
Yeah.
It's a ploy that teams.
Football contracts are insane.
They're silly. Nate Soldier,
Same thing.
They reduced his contract. They said they were going to cut him. They either got him down to $6 or $3 million a season.
Really?
He could end up being the right tackle. Now the Giants signed the other 2 days ago Adoree Jackson, cornerback from the Titans. He was the number one pick by the Titans, I think 19th overall. He played with former Patriot Logan Ryan.
Yep.
And Logan Ryan called him and did a lot of schmoozing with him to get him. So he signed a 3-year, $39 million contract. A couple days earlier, the plum of the offense during this free agent period from the Lions, wide receiver Kenny Golladay, 6 feet 4 inches. Eli Manning had with Plaxico Burress. Daniel Jones will have with Kenny Golladay. Wow. This is exactly what they needed. 4 years.
Daniel Jones has got to be ecstatic
he's
about
got to.
this. Yeah.
They signed veteran tight end Kyle Rudolph today. Wow. He has to get foot surgery. He'll be ready to go in September. 2 years, $12 million. from the Minnesota Vikings, and I will butcher his name, Duffy Odonbugo. He's a defensive end.
Pass rusher.
Yeah, 1 year, $2 million. Special teams player, I butchered his name last week, Cullen Gillespie from the Texans, like $900,000. John Ross from the Bengals with 4.22, 40-yard speed. Former number one pick, ninth overall by the Bengals for 1 year, $2.5 million. They picked up Reggie Ragland, second round pick from Alabama, for 1 year, $1 million. He can tackle the run, just very poor on pass coverage. They got new running backup for Saquon Barkley from the Las Vegas Raiders. They got Devontae Booker, 2 years, $6 million. They picked up linebacker from the Redskins, Ryan Anderson, who was a second round pick from Alabama. They picked up quarterback Mike Glennon, 10-year.
We were talking last week about how
You told, and I said no.
the
but
Giants
you're right.
guy, he didn't have, I could throw farther than he could.
Right, Colt McCoy. So they got Mike Glennon, 1 year, $1.5 million. Of course, they re-signed to a long-term deal. The top defensive player who happened to play with the Giants last year, Leonard Williams, 3 years, $63 million, a little overpaid, and they re-signed defensive tackle Austin Jackson. Now, I'm going to look in the camera. I'm not going to give it the Nighthawk guarantee quite yet.
Nighthawk, you a little gun shy about those guarantees, perchance?
Well, football's a funny business, a lot of injuries. But I'm telling you right now, as I sit here before you on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021, in the year of our Lord, I am predicting the New York Giants will win the Eastern Division.
Oh, I think they're shoo-in.
Dallas has a very good offense. They've got Dak back, but their defense is horrible. I think the Giants' defense could be a top 10 defense this year. Their defensive backfield and safeties, Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney, the second-round pick from last year. Corners, now they've got Adoree Jenkins and James Bradbury.
They finally got some talent.
Yeah. The defense is starting to look good. Jones has got, as I mentioned, Galladay, 6 feet 4 inches. Kyle Rudolph is a very good tight end. Hopefully it'll push Ingram a little bit. Soldier, probably either him or Matt Pert will start at right tackle. If Pert, in fact, starts right tackle, Soldier could be a swing guy. And I'm telling you right now, the draft coming up in 5 weeks, I would like to see the Giants get Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle. He can play guard. I'd like to see him play left guard because if you remember, we had Will Hernandez, who played really well his rookie year, extremely well. Didn't have a good second year, and last year he lost his job to Shane Lemieux, who was terrible. I'd like to see Slater start at left guard. I really want to build that lineup. I'm starting to get a gut feeling that Devontae Smith could fall down to
Well, I think what I've read a lot on Gettleman, and
Wasn't some of this Gettleman feeling a lot of heat?
well, that's right,
a lot.
a lot, because he's really been on he's been on the hot seat, and he's got to put up or shut up this year. So I think Gettleman was all in on this year. But the other thing, by picking up all these free agents, what the Giants have enabled themselves to do now is they can pick the best possible player in the draft at whatever spot they're picking. So they don't have to take maybe a mediocre guy because they got to fill that hole. They've filled all their holes.
Like, for example, the Patriots are picking 15th. They might want to draft up to the Giants if they feel like they want Mac Jones. The Niners pick right after the Giants. They may feel the Niners may go after Mac Jones.
Sure.
So the Giants could pick up an additional, maybe at a second-round pick. So I'm feeling very good. Of course, Daniel Jones, there's going to be a ton of pressure.
Yeah, he's going to have
him.
to play better, and their line's still not one of the highest.
Oh, and that's why I'm saying get Slater. Now, I really want to build that lineup.
Plus having a whole season of regular coaching with Joe Judge.
Yep.
I think will help the Giants.
And how about
And Saquon, a healthy, presumably Saquon should be very helpful.
That's the biggest point right there. I mean,
if he's healthy, we got a team.
I mean, he's been a
Sounds
bust.
like he
He's
should.
been a bust as far as I'm concerned. Had a great rookie season. I don't care how talented you are. If you don't make it to the ballpark, you're useless to me. And he's brittle. I mean, that's just the way it is. And
Well, that's one of the red flags of what the Giants have done. Some of the guys like Galladay or whatever, he only played 5 games last year.
he had a hip injury.
And
last
Adoree, whatever his name is,
Yep.
he only played 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
Of course, he played the last 4 or 5, which is different than playing the first 4 or 5 and then not playing.
Yeah.
So, but I think injuries or guys get hurt, but all in all, I'm about as excited for the Giants as I have been in a long time. I think they finally got some major league talent.
I'm probably more excited for the start of football season. I still want to have my summer first, probably in the last 10 years. And as far as the Patriots are concerned, gee whiz, it would sure look nice if they had an NFL quarterback, because I like what they did. They, again, started out of the chute early, and they did overspend on some guys. But they had the money, and they got who they wanted.
Well, I think the Giants did a lot better by letting the Patriots over. The Giants only really overpaid Leonard Williams. The other guys all were under market.
Yep, because Galladay, everybody assumed minimum 21 a year. He ended up getting 18 a year. And, of course, it's basic economics 101, the law of supply and demand. There's a ton of great wide receivers.
Yeah, there are.
If you don't get them in the first round, there's still going to be some really good ones in the second round. So we talked about it last week. I mean, Mac Jones is a smart guy, and yes, a guy like me will always bring out, he plays for the Alabama Football Factory.
No, one.
No, I'm good.
I'll be up all night. I'll be up all night.
I'm not
6
saying
times.
Cam Newton is a complete washout. I still think he's a very effective quarterback, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6.
Makes you think that Belichick's got something up his sleeve, that he wouldn't go out and get all these players. Cam Newton can't throw. He's lost his arm.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
We got to go.
got a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Well, hello, guys. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. Yeah, this free agent thing has been pretty exciting. And if you look now, the list of free agents that are still out there, I mean, there's some really good talent out there, too, right now that, will be picked up for bargain prices. I watched the list. It was on ESPN or the Football Network. It came across the bottom of the TV, and there is a ton of talent out there left for free agency.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these like Clooney's out there, that Hilton, the pass receiver.
He
for,
signed. He
the
signed
Colts
today.
Out there, their tight
Hilton
end. I mean, their defensive end for the Colts is still out there. Houston, I think his last name is. So, these guys, if anybody can, readjust some contracts again, there's certainly a glut of talent still out there in the free agency.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton signed today, back with the Colts, 1 year, $10 million. Now, one thing I failed to mention, the salary cap is $16 million less this year, at $182.5, where it was $196.5 last year. But I'm not really doing a real comparison, because under a normal year, that $196.5 could have been up to around $205 million. So there's a lot of teams that simply didn't have the money to go out and get these free agents, so there wasn't great demand on a lot of these players. As David said, a lot of these guys are gotten a lot cheaper. Now, next year, again, the cap was $182.5. It could be up around $212 next year.
And I think there's a big contract, NFL contract coming up for either.
Well, they did sign.
Then they sign a deal with
TV.
Amazon to stream Thursday night football.
Oh, really?
So they're going to be swimming in money. That's why they don't mind backloading these contracts a little bit because they figure the cap will be back up to where it belongs.
That, and of course, a lot of folks have signed only for 1 year, figuring have a good season, they'll cash in next year. So, but again, 5 weeks from Thursday, tomorrow night is the draft.
Yeah, all the mock drafts I've seen, or most of them, the Giants are going to pick up, which is the Gregory Rousseau out of Miami, the edge runner.
Yeah, he's the edge rusher.
Edge
He
rusher.
didn't play last year, and that's kind of hurting his stock a little bit. He had 15 sacks in 2019. Very athletic type guy. Him and Kwity Paye out of Michigan, another end, could be a potential first-round pick. As I sit here, I almost kind of hope if we can't get Rashawn Slater, is I wouldn't mind drafting down a bit and picking up an additional second-round pick. There's going to be a lot going on before now.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent in the draft, and like you said earlier, a lot of pass receivers there too. Now that pass receiver you guys picked up from Detroit, the Rams wanted him awful bad, but we were cash strapped. You know, Stafford threw him a lot of touchdowns over his career. This guy can really stretch the field too. You guys are in real good shape, and you know, I think they've given your quarterback the best tools he's had to work with since he's been there. And with the addition of Barkley back, I mean, that's almost like acquiring another free agent. Your offense is very well balanced. So I think you guys will be playing Washington for the the NFL East title. Washington has a very, very good defense, and their offense is fair, but it should be a good divisional race.
The Redskins, or the football team, as they're now called, they got a new quarterback, a new old quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be their quarterback this season.
Yeah, that guy just keeps on playing. I remember about 100 years ago when he came to the NFL through the Rams, and he's probably played on 8 or 9 or maybe 10 different teams, and he gives you a good game every time he plays.
Well, if you compare his age to Tom Brady, he's very young. He's 37 years old. And I think he came out of Harvard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, sounds right.
One of the few Ivy Leaguers to make it.
Yeah, he's a Harvard boy.
Yeah. No, the Redskins defense is terrific. Chase Young at one end and Montez Sweat at the other. It's an up-and-coming team, no question.
Yeah, and as far as the Cowboys, like you said, signing Prescott to $40 million, I mean, he's a really good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but that's $40 million to the offense and $0 to the defense. And the trouble with Dallas, I do believe, gave up the most points of any NFL team. So, I would have thought you would have addressed the defense there and maybe put the tag on Prescott another year and see what he does this year, see if he's worth all that money. I mean, the Rams got burnt doing that with Goff, and, a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah, and same with Carson Wentz. I mean, Prescott's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I'm not even sure he's a top 10 quarterback, might be number 11, and he's never won anything. So, and I agree, they should have franchised him this year and prove it to me that you're worthy of a $40 million contract. But Jerry Jones got scared and gave him the money.
Yeah, and what it does too, when you have no defense and the opposition scores on you, it puts, Prescott in a passing situation. It takes a running game, right out of it. And, it's a pretty predictable game you're going to play against Dallas. I mean, they just looked terrible last year on defense.
Yeah, no, you're right. They lack.
Now, one question, Why did the Giants let that Zietler go, the lineman? Didn't he have a great year?
He's their best offensive lineman, Kevin Zeitler. Unfortunately, he was going to make $12 million, and they just needed to get rid of him to sign these free agents. He quickly signed with the Baltimore Ravens.
It's probably the same way that they ended up with that Adoree, whatever his name is.
Jenkins.
Titans just had to cut him because they had too much. These guys that had the big contracts that you couldn't package them, they had to cut them just to get under the cap, because I think, didn't they have to be under the cap as of last Wednesday or something?
Might have been.
There was a hard day.
Probably the start of the free agency.
So
Yeah.
I think there were a lot of good players that got cut, and the other teams know. It's the same way with the Giants with Tomlinson. I think in a perfect world, they never would have let him go. They liked him a lot. But when you only have so much money, you got to pick and choose where you're going to put it.
Yeah, exactly. Like letting Tomlinson go and Zeitler go, that was $22 million in the bank for the Giants to play around with the free agents. And again, we signed Williams for a big contract. We signed Golladay for a big contract. But a lot of these guys, like the Patriots, signed a lot of one-year contracts to build up the depth on the team. So it was a strange year last year. It'll be kind of a strange year this year. And, I would say by the 2022 season, things will be back to normal. Because, again, a lot of teams simply just didn't have the money to get in the game for these free agents.
Now, again, getting back to Watson, will Texas draft a quarterback, or will they have to pick one of these few remaining free agent quarterbacks up, or what should the ownership do of Texas?
Well, Duke knows better than us. These aren't they're civil action, right, Duke? He's
Talking about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
I think everything's civil. I don't think there's been no criminal so far. But again, 14, hard to, as we talked about before, Bobby, we think, and Dave and I at least, 14 different women, we think this guy's toast. But yeah, it's all civil, but who knows? Maybe some criminal will
What
become-
if-
Sounds
Dude.
like he's been playing a lot of two-hand touch.
Yeah. What if he paid all these girls $500,000 to drop their civil suit?
I mean, I think he's tainted. I mean, yeah, he
Is-
can. I'm not
is
sure
the
he's got that kind of
NFL
money. What's that?
Is the NFL?
I don't know if it affects his morals clause or not, because they've got morals clause in those contracts.
No, I just think he's so tainted. I mean, just the number to me is staggering. I think this guy is absolutely toast.
And there will be a severe.
Who's going to want to deal with this
But there'll
guy?
be a severe race issue with Watson being black and Kraft being white. We didn't see ownership of the NFL. The owners forced Kraft out of the league. So it's
certainly a mess.
It'd be interesting to see how it plays out.
yeah.
You saw how. Speaking of Kraft and who's the receiver who's Brady's buddy in Tampa, Antonio Brown. Have I got his name right? Look, I mean, the Patriots got him for one game, and I think Kraft went crazy. I mean, Brady obviously, understandably, wanted him to stay around. Obviously, I think Kraft saw the reaction to, and again, that was just one more incident. One woman had charged him with sexual assault or something. One woman, and you saw how Kraft reacted. Oh, Deshaun, I think Deshaun's history.
Yeah, I have no prediction. I usually do, but I have nothing for this case.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Okay, guys, I'll let you go. Great show, guys.
Thank you, caller.
Thanks for calling. See ya.
528-5315 to be on Franklin County's #1 sports show. I mentioned Bobby Dalbeck last week, and just want to let you know, Duke, he and Michael Chavez, who's not even a starter,
Michael Chavis.
Each hit their 6th home run yesterday.
Chavis too, huh?
Yeah.
And they're both two peas on a pod.
And
They're
I'm
both
watching a
power
show
and
on
strikeouts.
YouTube, a guy named Fuzzy, who does a daily 10-minute show. He's saying, watch out, Bobby Dalbeck's going to hit 40 home runs this year.
And strike out 200
200 times. So we are literally a week away, week and a half a day away.
Well, that's
Baseball
amazing.
starts next Thursday, April
April
1st.
1.
So, Duke, I'm
And
looking
of course,
at
the Red Sox, Huck, we've talked about this so often. Good to see the Red Sox opening up at Fenway Park on April 1st. Insane.
Oh, it's going to be
It
cold
probably
there,
won't be
too, yeah.
snowing, but if they get a sea breeze, the ocean temp in Boston, Lake Champlain's, 35? The ocean temp off Boston's probably at best 40. I mean, insane.
It is.
Why are they having teams like Boston play up north for the first couple weeks anyway in April? It's insane.
It's one thing to sit and watch a game at 45, 50 degrees, but when you got that damp air coming in, forget
Insane.
about it.
It's just so stupid.
So, Duke, I'm looking at the Red Sox, and I know the pundits don't have high hopes for them. I see a better season. Their pitching staff, again, not half bad. Erod, Nate Eovaldi, Garrett Richards,
Mr.
who has had
Perez.
success in the past, Martin Perez, a decent left-hand pitcher. The fifth spot, Nick Pivetta, has been lit up like a Christmas tree this spring.
And of course, the guy who got so much attention late last year in that horrible year was Tanner Houck, the young guy who had 3 good games. He's had control problems this spring.
Yeah, they demoted.
But they certainly have folks in reserve. No,
Yeah.
I think the line on the Boston people seem to be, hey, this looks like a better team than we
I
thought. That seems
agree.
to be the line coming out of Boston.
You got Kristen Vasquez at catcher,
Yeah.
Bobby Dahlback at first, from the LA Dodgers, and Enrique Hernandez was a decent all-around player. Rafael Devers at third, Bogarts at short. Left field, a question mark,
Left field,
but he was highly
Who's the guy?
touted.
Kike Hernandez?
That's Franchi Cordero.
Yeah.
But highly touted when he came up. I remember him 5 years ago.
But just now playing after a COVID issue.
You got Verdugo in center, Hunter Renfroe, who I think is going to hit 30 home runs and is one of your better defenders. He's a really good defender.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a bad
And
team.
JD Martinez at DH.
And again, maybe almost most importantly, Alex Cora. I mean, a manager who I think the players love. And no offense to Ron Renicky, but last year, what a disaster all the way around.
Yep.
But I mean, Alex Cora. I think I finally talked to my friend Clayman. Was bitter that hey, Rich, he's a cheater. I said, Clayman, you're a Red
They all
Sox guy.
cheat.
Be happy. They're giving him a second chance. I mean.
Hey, he paid his price. He did his. You do the crime, you do the time.
Well,
He got a year off.
I think Cora's a key guy. I mean, the players love this guy.
David, why is NASCAR the only place where you can cheat and you're respected for it? The old saying in NASCAR?
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right. So, the New York Yankees look loaded. Pitching staff, did he win the Cy Young last year? Second.
Cole,
Garrett Cole was the runner-up last year?
I think so.
So
He
you got
looks good this
Cole, Kluber, Jamison Talon, Jordan Montgomery, and Domingo Germain, who's actually a really good pitcher, had some domestic issues.
And I guess he's looked like a stud.
Yeah, that's a great staff. The biggest question mark, and I think he's a bum. He started off good down in Florida, and he's been stinking it up.
Oh, it's my buddy Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez. I personally think they need to go out and get, because he can't play defense. So you got
Well, they
Sanchez,
say his defense is a lot better.
Luke Voigt at first, who had a great year last year. DJ LeMahieu, even though he plays for the Yankees, still, in my opinion, probably the most underrated player in baseball. Third base, Gio, you're,
Urshela.
yeah. Gleyber Torres at third or short.
I guess Torres has been getting mentored by LeMahieu. He's like rooming with them wherever they go. They're
Okay.
yeah.
So Torres is hopefully learning how to act like the pros pro, because LeMahieu is the pros pro. LeMahieu does everything the right way.
Yeah.
Well, what a pickup! What a great pickup by the Yanks.
Yeah, and that was another one of the great Nighthawk proverbs. He's a Denver player. He won't perform for the Yankees.
Yeah, no, he's a player. He's a ball player.
Were you really happy with that signing? Did you think he would?
Yeah, they weren't going to.
Good.
They told him right from the get-go. They said, "You go get whatever you want.
come
and
back
we'll
and talk
match
to
it,
us.
or we'll do whatever we got to do.
I know my Nats kicked the tire on him. He would be the missing link on that team. You really hit the nail on the head. He's a pro's pro.
He can play third base,
Yeah.
he can play shortstop, he can play second, he can play first. I bet you he could play outfield if you had to.
And you know what? If he came in the studio right now, sat next to me, people wouldn't recognize him.
No.
He doesn't run his mouth.
Yeah.
He just shows up to work every day.
He's a
But when the Yankees got him, though, did you realize they were getting such a good player?
no,
or-
I didn't
Yeah.
know, and they got him cheap the first time.
Oh, they did. No, he was a very good player for
'Cause
the
of course
Rockies.
You're a National League guy.
A very good player, and he can field. But
You're
again,
just skeptical about anybody coming out of
for
Colorado.
every LeMahieu from the Rockies that succeed, there's probably 15 that fail. It just happens. Now, I asked you this question, Dave, a few weeks ago. You got Clint Frazier left, Hicks in center, Judge and right, Giancarlo Stanton at DH. Stanton's not that bad of a fielder. I can't believe he doesn't create a stink by saying, listen, I know I'm getting 30, 35 million a year, but I'd like to bring my glove to the ballpark.
Well, I think they're planning on playing him in the outfield some. And they've got a couple of interesting battles for the last couple of places. This guy, Tyler Wade, for the last infield spot.
Yeah.
And then for the last outfield spot, because they got Gardner to be the number 4 guy.
You're going to say Mike Tauchman.
Well, between Tauchman and the guy that's played great this spring is Jay Bruce.
Oh, he's on the Yankees?
And the
Okay.
Yankees have until March 25th, which is what, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
To either sign him to a major league deal or they let him go. And there's been different articles in the New York Post of a couple of them say that they should keep Jay Bruce, that he's left-handed, his swing is beautiful for the Yankees, he can play first base. And then there's a lot of them that are saying that 2 years ago, Tauchman hit 9 home runs in 40 games. He's a plus center fielder. He's a really, really good outfielder. And he was hurt last year, and that's why he didn't play well. So they've got decisions to make. Tauchman is out of options too. So
What you're telling me, David, is the Yankees would love to unload Stanton and get their $30 million back a season.
Well, I don't think
because
so.
I think Jay Bruce would easily hit 30 home runs at Yankees.
I'm going to tell you something. Stanton has worked out, he and Judge both have worked out with the Yankees physical trainers, and they've reduced their bulk. And they've made them not maybe more flexible, more athletic, but not as strong. And I guess Stanton has just been an animal this spring. He's been hitting a ball like and what they want, if Stanton's been playing, he crushes a ball, and he's still a strong guy. He hasn't lost anything. I think he can be a game changer. And he's not a bad guy.
Do you think, David, that Toronto will push the Yankees?
I don't really know much about the other teams. I think Toronto thinks they're better. I don't think they got pitching. Plus, they aren't going to be playing in Toronto. They're going to be playing down in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think the Red Sox are that good. I think Tampa's lost a lot. When you get rid of Blake Snell and Charlie Morton.
Tampa never gets the respect they should, but it does seem like they don't have as good a team.
I have never said one glowing word for Tampa in the month of March.
What
ever.
they've done is, they maybe should be World Series champs. They're unreal.
Now they're good though, and they had last year they had like 8 or 9 guys on a DL pitchers with Tommy John that will all be back this year. Some of them are really good. So Tampa, you can't write them off.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you could give up Blake Snell.
Yeah.
And Blake Snell, and Blake Snell's 100% right. They would have won the World Series if they'd have left him in.
Well, is that why he left it after the World Series fiasco? Did he tell him, hey, I'm out of here?
No, the reason they got rid of him is because they were
Money.
going to have to pay him
That's
$12
money.
million.
Yeah.
And he had to, they can't afford him. They can only run a $50-60 million budget.
No, it's on what Tampa's done. It's a story that still doesn't get the attention it should. It's
Yeah.
unreal. What
No,
they've done.
they're very, very good.
Yeah.
And that's a story within itself where Tampa payroll is 65 million. And you look at the LA Dodgers, they're $260 million this year. They're about $50 million over the cap. They pay a huge luxury cap fine.
They don't care.
And you stole my words. And Duke, they simply don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
And, well, hey, the Yankees would do the same thing if they knew they were going to win. Though, Hank Steinbrenner, or is it Hank? No, it's Hank. Hal, I think, is the son now. He's more of a businessman. He really has had the Yankees a little more frugal. But spending big money, hey, it took the Dodgers 30 years. They've been spending like drunken sailors.
Yeah.
Like probably for 25 out of those 30 years, it didn't do them any good.
I think it's finally doing him good. Dodgers look like an incredibly good team.
Well, San Diego looks pretty good too.
San Diego looks great, but I've got to tell you,
The Dodgers
the
look like the
Dodgers,
same.
I just,
And they've got a farm system that just keeps bringing up guys. But they've got 5 or 6 guys getting $30 million a year.
yeah, right. I still, before I leave Earth, would like to see baseball get a salary cap and say, that's it. A ceiling and a cellar. So if the teams
I mean,
like
a
Tampa,
seller might be the better thing to
you
get.
tell the Tampas, the Miamis of the world, you know, you
Yeah, you
got to
gotta
spend
spend
minimum
100 mil.
100
Gotta
million.
spend 100
See,
mil.
I tell you what, though, I don't like it in the NHL because you can't build a team. You got to get rid. Look at Chicago a few years ago. They could have won the cup 5 or 6 times. They had to keep getting rid of their best players.
Right, I know, it's true. But,
I wish they go back to no salary cap.
well,
And hey, in the old days, the guys that wanted to win.
yeah.
And
I like the competitive nature. I mean, you look at the Dallas Cowboys that arguably during that 4 or 5 year run they had in the early 90s,
no salary cap.
greatest football team. Right when they were great, the salary cap came in and they started losing bodies. And that's the problem. You win the world championship, people want to be paid, and everybody can't get the top dollar.
It's one of the new things they're putting in the game in the minor leagues, because we talked about it last week. They're making the bases bigger.
Oh, is that right? I didn't catch
They're
that.
making the bases bigger. They're going from 14 inches to 18 inches.
Interesting.
And
The thinking-
they think
the
that it's
thinking
going
being
to
what?
be more stealing. And the other thing they're getting rid of, I think, this year in the major leagues, is they're getting rid of the instant replay on the steals.
That I did not hear.
I read that somewhere.
Huh.
That you know how they do it in super slow motion and all that, or maybe because the bags are bigger now, because they got rid of the in the area play, they're in the vicinity play with the instant replay, and the instant replay, if you need to take 3 minutes and look at it with a microscope to tell if a guy's safe or not in a second, that the game was never intended
And
for
the
that.
problem with steals, they're always a bang bang play.
Yeah.
Now, one thing about the base you did not mention
Huh, I didn't
is
know
they're changing the fabric of the base.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when a player would actually hustle down to first and their foot would hit the bag, I remember Bryce Harper about 4 years ago, hustled, hit the bag and slid off.
Yeah, they're so I think they're finally coming around to wanting to do things to put more running, to put the ball in play more. The rules about not having all the infielders on the grass, they got to at least be all on the dirt before the play hits. I mean,
David, let me ask you this question. Give me a year when the robo-ump will be in place,
from my point of view, is never. I hope never.
okay?
I think,
But
and you know what?
from a very technological guy, and there's so much technology in this world. I know the human factor, but why not get a robo-ump when his call rate will be at 100%?
Well, his call rate won't necessarily be at 100%, but you know what? When you got a smart, crafty pitcher, a guy that knows what he's doing, he kind of pitches in a way where the umpire gives him a little bit more. Or do you remember when you were in Little League and the guy was umping and you didn't swing at the first two pitches, and then the next pitch might have been a little high, but you didn't swing at it. He called you out
Yeah.
anyway.
And David,
That's part of the game.
you're right. Like Matt Scherzer, Hall of Famer. Umps will always give him
They'd
the close
find
pitch.
a way to
Let's
make
talk
the strike
Atlanta
zone a
Braves.
little
Let's talk
bigger.
Leonard's team with their great pitching and stuff. Tell me those guys.
Yes.
Tell me the umps weren't pretty good to
Yes.
those guys because they're always around the plate. Sure.
Have you ever watched any of the, I forget what it was, it maybe was NBA, and some guy was whining about the refereeing, and the rest said, hey, you're not Michael Jordan. You know, do you think they ever call LeBron James for traveling? But they'll call some guy that's number 12 on the bench. You need that. It's just like this poor umpire that just got fired, or the referee that got fired. You can't tell me in how many thousands of games that there are every year in the NHL that once in a while the ref is just so sick of a guy yelling at him from the other coach that he doesn't call something on the other team just to get him his goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the game.
So quickly, being a Nats fan, I want to get my
Okay.
90 seconds of fame here. So the Nats, they're well known for their vaunted pitching staff: Scherzer, Strasburg, Pat Corbin, John Lester, Joe Ross. Probably the best starting staff in baseball. Then catcher, Yan Gomes. First base, Josh Bell. Second base, Starlin Castro. Third base, they're a big question mark. The can't miss prospect. If you would have talked to me 3 years ago, wait till you see this Carter Kaboom kid. He's hitting like 171 in spring. He's got a lifetime average in the majors of about
I
202.
thought they had a hot shot, or is it their shortstop?
Trey Turner at short.
Okay.
One of the best. Outfield, Kyle Schwarber.
What about the other guy that's been hurt? He's been with them a long time. He was a third baseman.
Well, they had Anthony Rendon up till last year.
Right.
He signed $35 million
That's
a
the
year.
guy I'm thinking of.
Best third
Great,
baseman.
great. Such a good player.
Schwarber, Victor Robles in center, Juan Soto in right field. So, but with that being said, my expectations, where I say I expect the Yankees finishing first. I expect Red Sox 500 season. You're going to have a good year built from that. The Nats 90 wins is what I expect. Now, all the pundits, they have them in third place. Mets in second, Atlanta in first.
Hey, baseball, it doesn't take much to be good. And the difference between a AAA guy and a major league guy is almost nothing if the AAA guy is really motivated. You look at teams, if they get the right mojo, but a lot of it is pitching. And when you get to the playoffs, you need a good deep bullpen. Mm-hmm. And that's really what separates the men from the boys. That's what Tampa's had the last few years. And remember, Milwaukee's had a good deep bullpen where they can just keep throwing guys out there. Because in the playoffs, the starters only go 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah. That's how the Nats won in 2019. They had a horrible bullpen, but most of the guys didn't even see any action. Pat Corbin, their number 3 starter, pitched a lot out of the pen.
That's right.
Yeah. So few things I do want to bring up. I know you're interested, David, UVM men's basketball. It was reported a couple days ago that 4 out of the 5 seniors, because they get a special COVID waiver.
Get an extra year if they want it.
Yeah. So Benny Shungu is back, Justin Mazzulla, Bailey Patella, and Thomas Murphy. They're all coming back. The only one that didn't is Steph Smith.
He's going to try to go to a bigger school.
Big program for some. He's a good player, but some reasons he's got the delusion of grandeur that he's a NBA player, which he's not. But UVM, the team this year, and again, play 1 week, COVID the next. they didn't really gel this year. They've got a couple transfer players in here. They need practice. They need a full month of practice before the season. I got to assume by next October.
There was an article, or we were talking about it, about the basketball and the NCAA tournament. And if you look at the teams, why have you got some of these 15 and 16 seeded teams beating number one team? Because these guys have been playing for all 4 years. And with a disruptive season,
Yep.
and you take like Duke, they got 14 NBA first round draft picks, but they haven't been able to play together.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Gonzaga's, I think, a good example of that. Gonzaga's been a good team for, 15, 20 years?
and they've kept their guys
Have they ever
around.
lost one guy after one year? I don't think so. So that they're the perfect example of how nice to have a team that with guys who
remember
hang
a
around
couple
for
years
while.
ago, Wisconsin had a senior team that
Duke beat him, a tough, great. In
Boy, I
fact,
can remember-
I have to ask you about Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen was the key to Duke beating Wisconsin in the champion. How did he have a good game or 2 nights ago?
He plays, but he's just not noticeable.
Is that right?
out there.
'Cause he starts, though, doesn't he?
Yeah. Frank Kaminsky was the guy you're trying to remember.
Yeah.
White guy.
From Wisconsin.
yeah, good player.
But no, that was a great
It was a
team.
senior-laden team, very easy to root for. Speaking of Duke, and I'm not engaged into a mock draft yet with the NBA, but looks like the Dukies will have a first-round guy and a second-round guy. The white guy, Matt,
Jeez, my mind
Right.
is so.
Looks like a
Matthew Hurt.
Matthew Hurt,
Matthew Hurt.
second-round guy.
Had a good year.
But obviously the Duke, for whatever reason, I don't know, didn't have a good year this year, but I'm sure they've got some McDonald All-Americans coming in.
Boy, maybe it's just as well. God, North Carolina was like an 8 seed. They just got totally
They got
dismantled in their second in their game.
I haven't watched 1 second.
It's been great. I've gotten into it again. Some
Are
of
they
these
allowing
teams, like-
fans at the game, Duke?
No,
Yeah,
a
they're
little
allowing
bit.
some fans.
They don't even have the guys sitting on the bench next to each other.
But they are, they're allowing at least some. I mean, all Indian.
It's,
Aren't they allowing some? Haven't I seen some fans? It's
Probably
all
parents.
Indiana,
I think-
all around Indianapolis, 5 different venues. But there's been, I've gotten into it more than I thought. There's been some great
I've
games.
watched maybe bits and pieces of 2 or 3
Hockey,
games.
what the games? We're down to Sweet 16. I'll give you the Baylor 6-point favorite over Villanova. These are Saturday games. Arkansas 11 over Oral Roberts, a 15 seed in the Sweet 16.
That won twice.
Won twice. Hey, they're in the Sweet 16. Loyola of Chicago. That was they were seeded 8th. This is like probably a top 4 seeded team. They were just seeded ridiculously low. They knocked off Illinois, a number 1 seed. They beat them easily. Loyola of Chicago 6.5 over Oregon State. Houston 6 over Syracuse, and then the Sunday games. Michigan 3 over Florida State. Alabama 6 over UCLA, Gonzaga 13 over Creighton, USC 2 over Oregon. But it's been fun. I've been having a good time with it.
David, who is the best player ever to come out of Creighton?
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
Willis Reed.
Oh, is that
Okay.
right, Will? The Blue Jays?
Yeah. Duke, aside from Gonzaga, for the person that doesn't really follow
Yeah.
big major, who would you say is the
Next
second?
best, I mean, Baylor's a very good team. They've been like 1 and 2. They've been number 2 behind Gonzaga. But boy, this Loyola of Chicago.
Is that the one
Team.
where the nun?
The nun, she's 100 years old or something.
101 or something. But like I said, they were seeded eighth, I think. Absurd seeding for whatever reason. They're said to be probably the best defensive team in the country. But watch out for these guys. This is a very good team.
Do you know-
But Baylor's a very
But
good team.
Michigan's good too, aren't they?
Michigan's the number 1 seed, the sole survivor from the Big Ten, which got 9 teams in the tournament. But my Seminoles, Florida State, Syracuse, I don't think Final Four, but they've done very well. But Florida State's a very tough team. Leonard
Is
Hamilton
Donovan
there.
still coaching for them? Or
What's
did
that?
Billy Donovan or
He was a Florida coach, not Florida
Oh,
State.
Florida, yeah.
Leonard Hamilton's been Florida State forever.
Oh, okay.
They just re-upped him, but the Seminoles are a very good team.
Duke, Loyola. There's a Loyola in Philadelphia. Is that correct?
It's a Catholic school, but it's in Chicago.
Yeah, there's not, there may be another Loyola. I'm not aware of one in Philly.
Do you know anything about that school?
No.
Just, I'm sure it's a Jesuit school, I assume.
I'm curious what the student population is.
Can't tell you, but they had a good run a few years ago,
Yeah.
but it's a very good program. I'm sure it's got to think it's a pretty small school. But this is a good team that, like I said, their 8th seed was ridiculous.
There's like 360 D1 teams now, or
Yeah,
maybe more than that.
No, I think over 300 anyway. That sounds about right. There are a lot of
And,
D1 teams.
There's 4 that have never been to the big dance.
4 conferences?
No, 4 teams. Never been.
Oh, have to the
Never,
tournament.
since they've had 64 teams, there's 4 teams.
There's 68 for the record.
Well, 68 now, but when it went to 64.
Out of the 350 schools have never made their 4.
So you said just 4?
Just 4 that have
Really?
never been once.
Okay, that I can't guess. Go ahead.
I can tell you 2 of them. I think one is Army,
Okay.
and I think the other one that I'm 100% sure of is William and Mary.
I was going to say, I was guessing William and Mary's in there.
They came so close a couple years ago. They had a
Huh.
great team, and they lost by 1 point.
They
or
probably
something in the
needed to win their
conference-
conference
in the
championship, of
conference
course.
championship.
That reminds me, I need to ask you guys, the
Boy,
Ameri-
Hartford, speaking of which, Hartford got
Okay, that was
got
my
killed-
question. The
got killed
American
early.
East champ Hartford.
Got killed.
Who
What
they-
happened to UMBC?
Well, guess
Did
who they got
Hartford beat
to
'em?
play? Gonzaga.
Oh, I didn't.
No, they
okay.
got dismissed.
Did Hartford?
No, David, in the semis, UVM was upset because well, soon Baltimore was going to beat UVM and Baltimore. Baltimore got upset.
And then lo and behold, UMBC goes down.
So, really?
But
Of course, Hartford used to be good a few years ago.
Hartford Hawks, they got killed.
David, who is the greatest player ever to play for Hartford?
I
Dude, you should remember.
Jeez, I probably should, but,
wasn't Dr. J. He
No.
was UMass.
The great Vin Baker.
oh, okay.
Vinny
I
Baker.
shouldn't-
I thought he was Connecticut.
No, in fact, I saw Vin Baker.
You're right.
I saw
him
him play
UVM.
at Patrick Gym.
Yeah.
Up with that, very good hawk.
Yeah,
Vin Baker.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, so America East, a tough ending. But yeah, kudos to Hartford. They got farther than anybody else.
So I'm surprised you're watching that much without your team in
No,
the,
it's,
in the
you
tournament.
know, hey, you know. And speaking of upsets, hey, you don't think I can relate to some of these upsets? Duke in the last 15 years, I think both times they were a 2 seed and got beat by 15 seeds. So tell me about upsets. Remember who that were? It was just Lehigh, big upset one year, and Mercer in Macon,
Yeah.
Georgia. I mean, this was a 2-15 situation, so I can understand upsets. So I've gotten into
We
it.
got the match play going on right now.
I was, in fact, I paid a lot of attention to that today. And again, Hawk, are you paying any attention to that? Yeah, we got a bonus day today. 5
No.
days. It's 64 players
Rory
and 16
McIlroy got
pods.
spanked today
Oh,
by
Ian.
Poulter.
And what a surprise, if you remember the Ryder Cup a few years ago, and Poulter put the European, the team on his back.
Now, is
Poulter
that-
killed Rory.
Is that by invite? this
No,
tournament?
it's by invite, yeah.
You got to be one of the top 64 players.
It's by world rank, yeah, it's all rankings.
Because I see there's another PGA tournament in the Dominican Republic.
The guys that
that's
didn't get
because they're
invited to
just-
the WGC
Yeah,
can
that's
play
just,
now.
they're just 64 player. I mean, a typical tournament gets 130 players at the start,
Okay.
so.
Now,
yeah.
the purse for the match play is $10.5 million. For this tournament in the Dominican is $3 million.
Right, big
Oh, yeah,
difference.
Dominicans are the second tourney.
if-
But the match play today was great. I was into this.
Oh, that's fun. That
The
match
winner
play.
of that Dominican championship last year, the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship, was none other than Hudson Swafford,
No, really.
who I don't
Oh, yeah,
really.
he's.
But you know what? That gets you in all the tournaments. Gets you in
Oh,
the
yeah,
Masters.
he's had
Yeah.
not a bad career.
Yeah.
There were
So-
some good upsets today. The top seeds, I think of the 16 pods here, I think over half of the top seeds lost today.
So,
I can give you some results if you want.
so
Bryson
Duke,
DeChambeau went down. My Duke
DeChambeau
guy,
went down?
Kevin Streelman, killed Victor Hovland.
Wow.
Great, but there were a bunch of Dustin Johnson. Again, there were 2 Dukies. DJ had a tough time against another Dookie, Adam Long, but did win in the end.
So we're 2 weeks away from the Masters. You'll be down south. Where are you going to be during the Masters tournament?
I'll be down south. At this point, I'll be hanging in a motel, Best Western outside Hilton Head for the first 2 days of the Masters, and I'll blow into Hilton Head for the last 2 days of the Masters.
So you'll get to watch the tourney?
What do you think? You think I got better things to do?
What?
I'll watch in all likelihood every second of the
Now,
Masters.
do you you usually go to a women's pro tournament?
I usually go to a women's tennis tourney in Charleston.
Not happening?
The tournament's on sans no fans.
Okay. And you are going to the
But I got great
Heritage?
news Monday. I had emailed and texted the folks at Hilton Head about golf. I think I might have mentioned I re-upped on both the golf tournament, which of course got canceled in April. Of course, it came back. The RBC Heritage was the second tourney to come back later with no fans. Webb Simpson, the defending champ. Anyway, so I re-upped on the golf and re-upped on my beautiful oceanfront condo in Hilton Head that I've been getting forever. And so the golf tourney, then I heard maybe a couple months ago that RBC Heritage would be allowing some fans, which didn't surprise me too much, which begged the question, what about me? So then I finally got info from these guys saying, we're gonna send you a pass. I think I might have mentioned this before, a one day pass, good for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, I'm a little confused. A one-day pass, but you're not saying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Anyway, and I emailed these guys saying, what's the story? And I was concerned. They always mail out the tickets in March, and I'm not too far from hitting the road here. Anyway, Monday's mail made my day. Just four. I got a ticket for each day, so I'm good for the whole tournament.
Wow.
No, let me ask
Best
you.
news I've had in a long time.
I know you're in great shape. Not even for your age, but you're in great shape.
But I wasn't
Do
invited
you get
to.
tired? Do you get tired standing all day long?
No, moving around. No, it's and this will be great because
Now, tell me about what you do when you.
I mean, you've watched. You know the course. I mean,
you've
you've watched this tournament. You know the course a bit. It's just a beautiful. It's.
But is there a hole or is there a player?
Oh yeah, sure. Like
that-
like most courses, there are a couple places where you can see you're watching one green and you're right next to players teeing off and stuff. But I'll move around. I'll typically hit every hole. I'll
But
move
it's
around.
fair to say you're going to have a vantage point this year.
No, this will be
like
great because
none
it's not
ever.
going to be mobbed.
Well-
The toughest place at RBC, and it's a hole that just about everybody knows who's ever watched it. It goes right along Calabogie Sound with
18.
the facsimile 18, with the facsimile lighthouse.
Yeah.
But well behind the green. But that's tough. That gets very crowded walking down that fairway, and you've got official stands behind the green, but no place for the hoi polloi like me. So 18's about the only place that it's really tough to deal with.
David, the Masters. How many folks are they allowing in?
They haven't said.
I haven't heard.
So
I haven't heard a number.
My question I want to ask, our good friend Tim,
He broke his ankle.
Oh no!
He got run over by a golf cart last week,
Really?
so he's out of the Masters.
But
this week.
otherwise he would have been. Down
Otherwise,
there?
he was all set to go.
Oh, you're
oh
kidding.
my, he must be.
Tim Bowen.
And
Tim
they were waiting for the swelling to go down before they
Oh, what
operate
a-
on it. They're going to have to put pins and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what a
Oh,
drag.
he must be.
Yeah, he's in tough shape.
I mean, I'm
sorry
sorry
to
about
hear
Just talk to him. Just talk to him Monday.
Is that right? Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Like no, this is going to be great because RBC is not going to be mobbed with people. This is going to be unbelievable, and it's a good field. It's a very good.
The
field.
only golf tournament I ever saw live was the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup up in Montreal.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, you couldn't see a damn thing because the people were 50 deep. You couldn't even see them
Yeah.
hitting a ball. It was awful. I've never wanted to go back. I'm always much happier watching it on TV.
I'll probably have my Vermont. I've got a Vermont cap, so yeah.
All right, we'll see if we can see
Well,
it.
if
Yeah,
I,
I suspect
I'm so
I might get a
busy,
little
I
TV
would love
time.
to watch it and every second and try to catch you.
I would
Like,
say that's
there's
not.
the
I would
dude.
say that's not unlikely.
Hey, Nighthawk, did they extend the
In fact,
filing
actually,
date?
I'll wear my.
Right, we were talking about it last week, about May 15th. Of course, that falls on a Saturday, so officially, the end of tax season's May 17th.
May 17th.
A Monday.
Oh, so they did push it back.
They did push it
Oh yeah,
back.
and Vermont Are you talking about Vermont? The feds pushed it
Feds
back, and
in
Vermont followed suit.
Vermont as well.
After the feds did.
Yeah, just,
May 17th.
I think that's stupid.
yeah. Well, don't get me going.
Well, if you have to pay estimated taxes, they
Yeah,
gave you
I'm
no
here
additional time to do
to
that.
get my mind off
Yeah.
that stuff. But you can ask Duke, what did your accountant say down in
Oh,
Massachusetts?
it's just a horrible.
It's been a horror show,
When he's
David.
finishing returns to hear that the feds are making changes in March. Oh, yeah, miserable
It's,
time.
I can't tell you how bad things are this year. So
Hang in there,
anyways,
Hawk. Hang
that
in.
will conclude this edition. Thank you guys. Had a lot of fun of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our engineer, Richie Cunningham, Super Dave Handy, Mr. Duke Forrest, I'm the Nighthawk. Until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport.
Go Seminoles.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ding.